Hi there, my name is Grace and you are watching a video presentation that I put together for my college communications class. Let's begin. I'll be speaking about communication and perception, and my big idea is that our communication with others is indeed impacted and affected by our perception. And this, my friends, is why communication is so hard at times, because our perceptions are not always true. So before we start, let's go ahead and unpack the word communication and perception. The word communication can be defined as the use of symbols we as humans use to create messages for other humans. And I put here as a no, our communication must be interpreted. And kids, they get this completely because they're constantly, especially younger kids, constantly trying to understand the world around them, trying to unpack and interpret and understand facial expressions, nonverbal cues, and understand the words that are being spoken. And because it must be interpreted, that's where perception comes into play. Because our perception is the way that we acquire and interpret information that is presented to us. It's the way that we understand and acquire our beliefs and the truths that we hear that someone is saying. Now, the way that we perceive and receive something that is communicated is dependent upon three standpoints. Now, let's unpack the word standpoint. The word standpoint is just a stance. It's perspective from which a person sees and evaluates someone or something. It's a stance. Think of it as a stance. Now, these three standpoints, or these three evaluations, are the evaluation of the topic being discussed in this conversation and your evaluation of yourself and the other person in that conversation, as well as the evaluation that you have with that person. So first, let's go ahead and do the evaluation of the topic being discussed. How do you feel about this topic? Do you love it? Are you neutral, or do you hate it? What is the importance of this topic? Is it something that you hold really close to your heart? Or is it something, you can kind of be a little laxed about, or something that you completely stay away from? Well, in a conversation with someone, sometimes when you hate the thing, you try to stay away. That can cause conflict. Sometimes when you're super passionate and you love it, sometimes you can be a little prideful, and the way that you communicate might not come off as gentle or maybe understanding of someone else. So that can kind of cause conflict. So what is the importance of the thing that you are talking about? I put directions on there because I know my boyfriend and I, sometimes when we're driving, we can argue about the silliest of things, and directions is one of them. It's a topic, and sometimes it can be a little silly. All right, the evaluation of yourself and the other. This is where it gets complicated, friends, because we as human beings are complicated, and sometimes the way we communicate is complicated. So evaluation of yourself. Identity. Who am I? Who do I see myself to be? Is my self-esteem high? Is it low? Self-esteem is how you feel about yourself based upon your own perceptions of your own strengths and your own weaknesses. What is my self-concept like? Now, self-concept is our perception of who we are and what makes us unique, as well as similar to others. Am I confident in who I am, or am I a little insecure in my identity? Now, looking glass, this is actually my favorite. The looking glass is the way that other people's perceptions of us define our own perceptions of ourselves. I know sometimes there's times in my life where I can be a little insecure, and I think of everyone else and what they think of me, and if they think something of me, then it's like, oh, well, I must be that. But sometimes, like I said in the beginning of this presentation, everyone else's perceptions is not always true. Your own perception is not always true, and that's why we need to evaluate. All right, now second, our evaluation of the other person in the discussion. Do you evaluate them in a good way, bad way, or ugly way? How do you see them? Are they a good friend, bad friend, ugly friend? Do they make you feel safe? Are they really overbearing, or are they really malicious and you don't know how to feel about them? Do they love you? Let's think of a romantic relationship. When you're having a discussion, maybe you're just a topic that is really close to your heart, and maybe you feel hurt in the conversation. What do you lean on? Do you trust them? Do you trust that their love for you is there and they're not malicious and they're not actually intending to hurt you? Trust is a big part of a relationship. It's an accepted belief that you have for this person, and if you accept the fact that they love you, and that's you can trust them. It's really important. All right, now thirdly, our evaluation of the relationship. Here are two visuals of a couple who are fighting. Every relationship comes with their rainy days, and these are just two examples of two negative interactions, and we have to ask, what is my evaluation of the relationship? Is it just we constantly have conflict, or maybe we can get around it? What is the importance of the relationship? What is the type? Are we in a marriage relationship where we're in a covenant that should not be broken? Or are we just in a dating relationship where, you know what, we're realizing we're not compatible and we're fighting a lot and maybe we should end? Things to think about. Now, what is your evaluation of the relationship? How do you see your relationship? Basically everything I just said. What is the importance of a relationship? Now, with every bad day, there comes good days. Communication can be hard, and we must value our relationships. We must love the people around us, and sometimes, depending on the topic, they're worth communication and worth conversation and worth gathering a truthful perception. Other topics, maybe it's well enough just to sweep under the rug and not really talk about, because maybe it's not that important. Like directions. You told me to get off of this exit, and yeah, that was the wrong exit during a snowstorm, and we almost died, but it's okay. I love him. I know I trust him. I trust his love for me. See, get the picture. I want to invite you, with all of these things taken into mind, we have communication and perception, and knowing that our perceptions are not always true, and just evaluating the relationship and what is being discussed, and evaluating yourself and the way that you're communicating, evaluating your identity, and having to be truthful within yourself when you're communicating with someone, and believing that they're being truthful to you, and reaching to the truest intent of the meaning that someone actually is trying to communicate is very, very important. And it's hard. It's a hard thing to do. But I want to invite you to evaluate what is being communicated in such a way where you're able to acquire the most true stance, the most true perception, especially when a really possibly important relationship is on the line. So I want to invite you to listen with love and to lead with compassion with people and with whatever you're communicating. Listen with love and lead with compassion. And thank you for listening. Bye now.